What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Fourth Eye. I'm back. This is gonna be like two stories. But this is meeting loved ones on the other side. Um, the first one is about my grandfather after he passed away. Now, back then I didn't understand like the experiences I was having, and so I was having them, but then I would be like, kind of how you say, like, because when you in an experience, sometimes it's like you'll be conscious of it, but then you'll be like lightly not that conscious of it. So it's like weird. You'll come out and then you'll be there for a certain amount of time and then you'll be unconscious. But it's almost like they will show you signs that will bring you back to that consciousness to make you aware. So with this experience, my grandpa passed away, and I was like at a house. I ended up at a house that we grew up in, me and my brothers and sisters. But I said my brothers, I only got one brother. But I'm looking, my grandpa's sitting on the porch. Now mind you, my grandpa, before he passed, he couldn't walk, and he could talk, but you couldn't understand him. So he was basically just all the way gone. Like you couldn't understand him. So I'm sitting there, I see him on the porch, and he got a basketball in between his legs. Now I used to play basketball growing up all the time, so that was one of my favorite sports to play. And so when I seen him with the basketball, first he's talking to me, but I'm not picking it up, because when I see my grandpa, I'm thinking like I can't understand him anyway. I have to really look at him to understand him. But when he started talking, he's talking, but I'm not picking it up. I see the basketball and I look at him, and I'm like, I used to always joke with my grandpa, and I was like, man, you don't know what to do with that basketball, man. You can't hoop. And he started talking, and then I started picking up, like, hold up, he sound clear. So I stopped and I just started listening, and he started telling me like, yeah, your mama and my kids, all my kids could have gave up on me. I just wanted to say that the Bessie in them wouldn't let them give up on me. And that was my grandmother that passed away when I was a baby. He was like, the Bessie in them wouldn't let them give up on me. He was like, but they could have, because of the way that he lived his life. And I was just sitting there intrigued. And mind you, I wasn't even really amazed. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, like he said what he said. It didn't really catch me like that. I was just so surprised that I could understand what he was saying. I was just like, dang, that's crazy. And I was just listening, and I woke up. I told my mama about this experience, and I was like, yeah, he came to me and said this. Then my mama told me, she was like, I was praying about that, like that he would give me a sign that he was all right and all this stuff. And I think my mama, like, I never seen my mama cry, and I still didn't see her cry because we was on the phone. But that I think she had shed a couple tears off of that one. She was like, oh my God, like, but that was the end of that experience. But I just wanted to talk about that one just because it was a family member that I met. Now this one was way different, because this was somebody that I didn't know of. So this experience, I came out and I was just chilling outside, and this little bitty woman came outside. She had glasses, she was little, and she started talking to me. She was real spunky. She was like, hey, we talking and stuff. She brings me into the house, and I'm looking at her, and there's this tall man in there with her, but I don't really know who none of these people are. And she like, you don't, she said, I'm your great grandmother. And I was like, what? I was like trying to think in my head, like, who is that? Like, cause my grandmother passed away when I was a baby, so I didn't really get to know her. I didn't know her mother, and I didn't know her, like, I didn't know, so I'm like, what? That's crazy. She started telling me stories about what she used to do as a child. Like, she was like, I used to have to feed all the siblings. I used to cook, and we used to play these little rock games. And when she would say stuff, it's like I would see it. So I'm seeing them like throwing rocks and stuff. She telling me that stuff, and she like, I used to have to cook for everybody, all this stuff. And she was like, yeah, I'm your great grandmother. She was just spunky as I don't know what. I woke up from that out-of-body experience, and I told my mama about it. She told me, you need to call your auntie. So I called her and I started explaining it to her, and she was like, that's little mama. They used to call her little mama. She was little. And this and that's when I found out that my auntie and one of my great aunties and one of my great uncles have experiences also, because she was telling me like, yeah, so and so has them experiences also. I have them. I was like, what? That's crazy. I was like, that's crazy to me. But in some cases, like you will meet people that you don't even know. Like, I don't know how that happens. There was a time when I had an experience, and I was in a house, and I kept seeing these little babies, little kids and little babies walking around, and there was a group of women there, and they was having a conversation outside, but I was indoors, and I'm looking. Now this place looked nice. This is like a really nice place. I walk outside, and it's a dog behind the gate, and when I look at the dog was familiar to me. And I was like, I looked up, and what looked like my grandmother, that my mother's mother, the one that passed away when I was a baby, she said, yeah, he left that dog here for you. And when she said that, it triggered a memory, and I knew who this person was that left the dog, that she said left the dog, and I got upset. And I said, why did he go back? Why he go back? He wasn't supposed to go back. Like, and I was upset. And I started crying. Like, when you get emotional in these experiences, the emotions are like extreme. Like, I got upset, and she came over there, she started hugging me and stuff, and she was like, it's okay. And she started telling me like, you're a strong, you this and that. She was just giving me like words of encouragement and all that stuff. And then they started talking, and they was like, so who these babies gonna come through? And to each other. They wasn't talking to me. And they started bringing up my sister, my brother, the other this. And what's crazy is my sister had another baby after this. But they was in there because my sister was like, I ain't having no more kids. And my brother was like, I ain't having no more kids. And but they was saying like, oh, she can go through they can go through this person and this person. And then one of them was like, well, so-and-so say they ain't trying to have no more kids and this and that. And they was just having this full conversation, and I'm like, that is crazy. I'm like, so is they trying to pick whose womb the baby could come through? Like, what is this? This is crazy. Like, and while I'm about to try to get some answers, like, what is going on? I started like falling asleep, and I woke up in my bed. It's it's so much out there that you will experience. Now, I know I talked about some of the negative experiences in the last couple videos, but I've had more good experiences than I've had negative experiences. But I just think it's key, the negative experiences is something that need to be known. So, with that being said, this is this video. I'll be back with another video. Y'all be good, stay blessed, and stay safe, and I'm talking about, I'm talking about, nah.